Hello, I'm Dr. Ava Wilson, and if you've been with me for a while, you know I've spent the last 22 years working almost exclusively with adults over 60 on exactly the kind of health concern we're talking about today. So before you scroll past this, I want you to give me the next few minutes because what I'm about to share could genuinely change the trajectory of your health for years to come. If your doctor has told you your blood sugar is creeping up or that you're sitting in that prediabetes range, and nobody ever really sat down and explained what that means for your body 5 or 10 years down the road, you've only been given half the picture. Today, I want to fill in the rest. This isn't another video telling you to cut sugar and move more. You already know that. What I want to walk you through is what is actually happening inside your body, why the standard advice often isn't enough on its own, and three natural spices backed by real published research that can help your body find its way back to balance. Stay with me to the end because the spice at number one is the one almost none of my patients know about, and its results genuinely surprised the researchers who studied it. What's really happening inside your body? Most people hear the words prediabetes, feel a flicker of worry, and then life carries on. But let me explain in plain terms what's actually going on beneath the surface. Every time you eat, your body breaks food down into glucose, sugar, which enters your bloodstream. Your pancreas releases a hormone called insulin, which works like a key. It travels through your blood and unlocks the doors of your cells so glucose can get in and be used for energy. That's how it's supposed to work: smooth traffic, steady energy, stable blood sugar. But in pre-diabetes, over time, those locks on your cells become resistant. Insulin shows up with the key, but the door doesn't open as easily. So your pancreas compensates by producing even more insulin to force it open. For a while, this keeps your blood sugar in check, but your insulin levels are sky high and your pancreas is working overtime. This is called insulin resistance, and it's the real root of the problem. Eventually, your pancreas can't keep up. It produces less insulin, your cells stay resistant, and blood sugar starts climbing. That's the moment your doctor flags an elevated fasting glucose or A1C. But here's what most patients are never told: insulin resistance doesn't just affect blood sugar, it sets off a cascade. Your liver stores more fat, inflammation rises throughout your tissues, your blood vessels experience slow damage, you feel tired after meals, you crave sugar even though the real issue is delivery, not supply, and you tend to gain weight around your midsection. Sleep, focus, and mental clarity can all suffer too. None of this is random. It all traces back to insulin resistance. The inflammation connection. I want you to really understand this part because it changes everything about how you approach treatment. Chronic low grade inflammation isn't like the redness you see when you cut your finger. That's acute inflammation and it's healthy. Chronic inflammation is quieter. You can't feel it, but it's happening at the cellular level throughout your body, and it's one of the primary drivers of insulin resistance. When your cells are constantly exposed to inflammatory signals, their insulin receptors, those locks, become even less responsive. Inflammation and insulin resistance feed each other in a cycle. Break one, and you start breaking the other. This is exactly why just cut the sugar so often falls short. You can do everything right on paper and still see your numbers stay stubbornly elevated because the underlying inflammation was never addressed. So, what can we do about it naturally? The answer has been sitting in spice jars for generations, and modern research is finally catching up to what traditional medicine has known for a long time. Spice number three: ginger. Most people think of ginger as something for an upset stomach. It does help digestion, but that's actually one of its smaller benefits. Here's something most patients don't know: your skeletal muscles, arms, legs, back, are among the largest consumers of glucose in your entire body. Every time you move, your muscles pull glucose out of your bloodstream. That's part of why even a short walk after a meal can meaningfully lower blood sugar. Research suggests that certain active compounds in ginger, gingerols, and shogalls can improve how muscle cells absorb glucose, essentially improving insulin sensitivity at the muscle level. So, even without additional exercise, ginger may help your muscles become more receptive to glucose uptake, which can mean smaller post meal spikes and less strain on your insulin. A clinical study published in the International Journal of Food Sciences and Nutrition followed people with type 2 diabetes who supplemented with ginger over 12 weeks and found meaningful reductions in fasting blood sugar, along with improvements in longer term blood sugar markers. Ginger also carries anti inflammatory properties, helping interrupt that inflammation, insulin resistance cycle from the inflammation side. How to use it. Grate about a teaspoon of fresh ginger root into a cup of hot water, let it steep 5–10 minutes, and drink it on an empty stomach first thing in the morning. You can also add it to smoothies, soups, and stir fries. One important note: avoid commercial ginger products like ginger ale or candy. The added sugar cancels out the benefit entirely, and the actual ginger content is usually minimal. Consistency matters here. The research reflects weeks and months of regular use, not an occasional cup. Spice number two, turmeric and its essential partner. You've probably heard of turmeric, the bright yellow spice common in South Asian cooking that's become popular in Western wellness circles. But most people use it casually, without understanding the one mistake that can make it almost useless. The active compound in turmeric, curcumin, works on multiple levels. First, it's a potent anti inflammatory. It helps quiet a signaling molecule called NF kappa B, which acts like a switch that turns on your body's inflammatory response. In many people with insulin resistance, that switch is chronically stuck on. Research, including studies published through the National Institutes of Health, has shown curcumin can meaningfully improve insulin sensitivity in people with insulin resistance. Second, curcumin appears to help protect the beta cells in your pancreas, the very cells responsible for producing insulin, by reducing the oxidative stress they experience under chronic strain. Third, curcumin may improve the behavior of fat tissue, particularly visceral fat around the abdomen, which in insulin resistance tends to produce its own inflammatory signals. The critical mistake: curcumin on its own is poorly absorbed. Most of it passes through your system before it can do any work. The fix is simple: black pepper. It contains piperine, which research shows can dramatically increase curcumin absorption. This is why quality turmeric supplements almost always pair curcumin with black pepper or piperine. How to use it: a half teaspoon of turmeric with a small pinch of black pepper, added to soups, stews, curries, or scrambled eggs. Having it with a meal containing some healthy fat further supports absorption. Many of my patients enjoy golden milk, warm milk with turmeric, black pepper, and a touch of cinnamon in the evening. Give it several weeks of consistent use before expecting to feel the anti inflammatory benefits build. Spice number one, Ceylon cinnamon. This is the one that surprises people. Cinnamon has been talked about in wellness circles for years, usually vaguely. It's good for blood sugar, without anyone explaining why, how much, or which kind actually matters. Let's fix that. Cinnamon has been studied for its effects on insulin sensitivity and fasting blood glucose, with research published in the Journal of Medicinal Food and elsewhere pointing to meaningful reductions in fasting blood sugar with regular supplementation. The proposed mechanisms include: certain cinnamon compounds may help activate insulin receptors directly, essentially doing some of insulin's job. Cinnamon appears to slow carbohydrate digestion, so glucose enters your bloodstream more gradually instead of spiking. It may improve the responsiveness of insulin receptors on your cells. Like ginger and turmeric, it carries anti inflammatory properties. A critical distinction most people miss: not all cinnamon is the same. The cassia cinnamon found in most grocery stores contains meaningful levels of coumarin, which, in the small amounts used occasionally, isn't a concern, but with daily, ongoing use can be harder on your liver over time. Ceylon cinnamon, sometimes called true cinnamon, comes primarily from Sri Lanka and contains far less coumarin, making it a better choice for daily use while still offering the beneficial compounds tied to blood sugar support. How to use it: a half to 1 teaspoon of Ceylon cinnamon daily, in oatmeal, coffee, yogurt, a smoothie, or a savory dish. Look specifically for Ceylon or true cinnamon on the label. Putting it all together, a simple daily routine. Morning empty stomach, ginger water. With your first meal, a half to 1 teaspoon of Ceylon cinnamon. Sometime during the day or evening, turmeric with a pinch of black pepper. No supplements, no special equipment, nothing complicated, just consistency. I'd encourage you to give this 30 days. If you have a home glucose monitor, check your fasting number once a week, same time of day, and keep a simple log of your energy, cravings, and how you feel. Many patients notice improvements in energy and cravings within the first couple of weeks, with blood sugar trends improving gradually over the following months. Movement in the right direction, even modest movement, matters. What supports this even further? These three spices work best in the context of a few other basics. Hydration. Even mild dehydration concentrates glucose in your blood. Sleep. Even one night of poor sleep can measurably reduce insulin sensitivity the next day. Aim for 7.9 hours. Movement after meals. A 10-15 minute walk after dinner can meaningfully blunt a post meal glucose spike. Stress management. Chronic stress keeps cortisol elevated, and cortisol raises blood sugar. A word on where you're starting from. Wherever you are on this journey, freshly diagnosed with prediabetes or living with type 2 diabetes for years, it's rarely too late for your body to respond. Insulin sensitivity, inflammation, and even some pancreatic function can improve at almost any stage, though progress may be slower the more established the condition is. If you're in the earlier stages, right now, not next month, is the most valuable time to act. Please understand, these spices are not a replacement for your medical care, and if you're on medication for blood sugar, please don't stop or adjust it without your doctor. Mention to your physician that you're adding these to your routine and ask them to monitor your progress alongside your regular care. To summarize, prediabetes is driven primarily by insulin resistance fueled by chronic inflammation, not sugar intake alone. Ginger, turmeric with black pepper, and Ceylon cinnamon each address this from a different angle, and together, alongside good sleep, hydration, movement, and stress management, they can support your body's own capacity to recalibrate. If this was helpful, please subscribe. I cover practical, evidence informed topics like this regularly for our community. And if you're taking on the 30-day approach, tell me in the comments. Saying it out loud tends to help people stick with it. Take care of yourself. You're capable of more progress than you might think.